Troopers and grinders, welcome to the Apex, where Edson Barboza, after a slick, beautiful, once-in-a-lifetime finish, points up to God for his success. But God is not there for him, and neither is anyone else. He is inside of a vacuous warehouse that was built in 2020 during the pandemic, and now it's a living limbo for all UFC fighters. So have fun with that for the next 3 hours on a Saturday night. But in the meantime, you're safe here in the war zone with me, Hank the Tank, and my buddy over on my left, the Idaho Skatesman, to deal with the bullshit for you. How do you feel, my friend? How do you feel about the Apex? Is it in its later years? Is it forgetting about its medication? Is it on the way out?
Um, I would hope so, but I don't. I'm a little pessimistic. I'm a little more excited
Mm-hmm.
for what's happening in Saudi Arabia. Not
Yay, Saudi
public
Arabia.
executions. Not public executions, not private ones, but a boxing match to unify the heavyweight division, and we'll have an undisputed heavyweight champion for the first time in more than 20 years. So that I am excited for that.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
can't wait
am I
for
gonna watch this
Ryan
weekend's
Garcia
UFC
versus Rolly.
card?
What?
Yeah, am I gonna watch this weekend's UFC card? Of course. Do I have
Ah,
picks for
yeah.
you guys? Of course. We're gonna go through every fight on the card.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, talk us through this Apex main event. I mean, how are you feeling? Are you hot on it? Are you cold? What's going on?
I'm hot on it just because Edson Barboza is fighting, and it's never not an entertaining scrap when he's in a fight, and you can never count him out. Even though there are times he has been finished, there are a lot of fights that he should have lost, and he somehow won because he's the wily veteran, and he just has too much scope and range in his move set and stuff that he's just practiced over the years that he just throws out on occasion. And about like 70% of it happens to work when he uses it. So because of that, he's actually one of the more entertaining featherweight fighters. And he's freaking like 30 something, late 30s, 38, 39 years old, and he's still doing it. So
Yeah,
you can never count
certainly.
out Barboza. And I think he next time he deserves a live show so people can go crazy for a spinning wheel kick every once in a
Yeah,
while.
we'll have to get him on the program. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Get him in front of a
Yeah, we're
crowd
gonna
for
have to
sure.
reach out to Barboza. If God's not watching him, we will.
So I am really excited for the heavyweight match between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury in Riyadh this weekend. That's kind of my most anticipated thing. Though I will say the
Yeah.
fight like has no buzz because it's happening in
Yikes.
Riyadh. I don't know how much you can really
And it
promote
got pushed
something.
back too. It got
Yeah,
pushed
because of
back
the
too.
cut. I mean,
And
we should have been had
Fury's Fury.
we should have had an undisputed champion for a while, but lots of things complicated that. And Tyson
I mean,
Fury was gonna fight.
on paper, Ngannou's the lineal champion. You know, and he's knocked out, man. The belt goes with him. So boxing does not have a
Yeah, I mean
heavyweight.
he officially lost that match, so that's not the case. But I
Mhm.
do understand what you're saying. He had a
I
case
know.
to
I'm
win
just
that
joking.
fight. But
Yeah.
again, it's like this is the Tyson Fury story. Like it's the same thing when he got iced by Deontay Wilder.
Hmm.
Okay, he got iced by Deontay Wilder. Gets up at the 9 count, right? Like he's late for school,
Hmm.
and then he ends up getting a draw in that first Deontay Wilder match. So
Miraculous. Yeah.
we've seen this happen with him before. So but
He bounces
boxing's
back.
boxing. That's
He
how it
bounces
is.
back. Yeah.
Um. So yeah, we're gonna go through our picks for that fight. There's not a lot of fights that I want to go through necessarily on that card. And then we'll get into some of Hank the Tank's locks. I believe some of those cards are happening as we speak and may already be over with.
It just happened. Just happened. Every single one that I picked for today is concluded.
Okay,
So
got it.
I got some picks. I'd be happy to share them with you. But it depends on, of course, what the people want to see. What do the people want to see?
So let me get my screen up here. Oh. All right. So we've got quite a few fights on this card here. One that's interesting is Frank Sanchez versus
Mm-hmm.
Caballel. Now, Frank Sanchez is a Cuban. He has a very technical boxing style. He's not a very heavy-handed guy, though. He does have 4 KOs in his last couple fights. The Junior Fall KO was a pretty impressive one to me. Now, on the other end, Caballel, kind of the same thing, like a heavy-handed guy. Got three KOs straight. They're both 31. But again, Frank Sanchez is Cuban, so is he 31? I think that Frank Sanchez is the smart pick here. He's a very heavy, moderate favorite, but I think he's the guy to go with. Jaio Pataya. This guy
Oh boy, fun.
is. Do you have a pick for that Frank Sanchez fight?
No,
Okay,
I have a pick for 2 of these fights, and I think Jai is one of them.
perfect. Okay, Jaio Pataya, young kid from Australia versus Marius Bradis. Lost his belt via decision to Jaio Pataya. I think there was some bad blood. Something's going on. Anyway, these two hate each other. This is
Nice. I
old
always love
guard.
that.
This is the old guard taking over the new. Um, so I believe, yeah, a year ago, and Jai's had 2 fights. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to see this fight going any other way. The 39-year-old. This is for the cruiserweight title. You age better in the older weight classes, but I think it's pretty
Mhm.
easy pick to pick Jai in this matchup. Um, haven't seen a lot from him, but I do know that Marius Bradis is a pretty established name in the cruiserweight division. But yeah, changing of the guard, that's reflected in the last decision loss. But there's a lot of bad blood, and I'm not really entirely sure why between these two. They totally hate each other, and they've been talking mad shit to each other in the build up
So
to this
whenever
fight.
a reporter asks, they never give an explanation.
No, you could totally find out why. I just do
If we
not
were
have
just
that
too lazy,
information.
just don't want to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
Hey,
haven't.
hey, why
Again,
would I do that?
and I'll just defend myself a little. You know, like I said, this card has no buzz. There's nothing. I mean, you can go find all these interviews and such, but I haven't seen them because I mean, like I said, this card has not been promoted very well, and I haven't done the research either. But like I said, it's a fight happening and it's a card happening in Saudi Arabia, so what really is there to promote?
Well,
I got a picture of Hank the Tank's picks. He's
right.
having a little bit of technical difficulties with his computer, so we're just gonna preview him like this.
Yeah, I have Opataya as well. Except given that there's so much bad blood, and I think that Opataya is a decent finisher, especially in the second half of his fights. I feel like he's going to find the KO, and I think he'll make it a lesson for his opponent, make it a habit that if he's in a rivalry with somebody, he wants to put him out. He doesn't just want to hug him to a decision. I think he has the capability and the talent, as well as the power to put him away. And if he smells blood in the water, I think he's going to seize on that. So for that reason, I have Opataya by round 8 KO, I think. If
Yeah,
Loma can do it to his opponent, I think that Jai can do it. Younger, more power, smart, and he
there's a
can let.
case to be made that Marius Bradis is more accomplished and has more accolades than one George Kambosos. But
Yeah,
yeah, do you know anything about the bad blood? The bad blood.
the Taylor Swift Bad Blood that makes you 100 million views off of a music video. Yeah, that kind of bad blood. Yeah, it's totally bad, you guys. I've been a wrestling fan for 12 years. I know all about bad,
Gross.
how real it is for
No, no.
sure.
Do you know? But do you know about their beef specifically?
No, I don't know about their
Okay,
beef.
got it. Okay.
I mean, since they're
Um,
fighters, they probably eat chicken, so can't say
right.
much
Chicken
about
and
them.
rice only, no steroids.
Exactly.
So the main event and the most significant fight of the weekend and probably in boxing in the last 20 years. um,
Since ever, man.
but again, not like I'm going to preview this by saying this will not be the most exciting fight you'll ever
Probably
see.
not. I know
Like,
that Fury's gonna try to make it a bore fest.
well,
I'm sorry, but he's going to do some hugging and some
Well,
squeezing.
go ahead and break that down. I mean, because
Uh,
I don't think, like, again, it's like we watch MMA. We know that people don't generally want to see clinching
right.
and wrestling, long extended periods of wrestling where somebody's not doing ground and pound or trying to lock up a submission. Um,
Hmm.
but I would argue that, like, hey man, if you like boxing and you like watching somebody box well, Tyson Fury definitely does that, and so does Alexander Usyk.
They sure
Though he
do.
did make Daniel Dubois quit in his last fight, all of his
After
previous fights, Chaz Witherspoon, I'm not entirely sure who that is, but so 4 years ago, um, you know, his most recent KO was 8 months ago, but before that, it was 4 years and 7 months ago. So, not exactly a guy doing a lot of knocking out himself is
yeah,
Alexander Usyk.
not a spring chicken.
Now, Tyson Fury, on the other hand, has significantly more KOs than one. Um,
Alexander Usyk.
yeah. So again, um, he now when he won the title from Klitschko, he did have a very boring fight. But again, it was a boxing masterclass. It was like boxing. It was like pure boxing.
Yeah,
No going to knock a guy out. So yeah, but go ahead and break that down a little further.
yeah. It's that's the kind of fight where it's like a chess match. You know that both
Yes.
these guys are
Yes.
great and they have great technique, and it's all about seeing how the styles clash. And then there are ones where it's a blood feud, like Jai versus his opponent, where they're going to swing for the fences and hope that something lands. It just depends on what the mood is and what the style matchup is going into the fight. That usually determines how the fight goes. But we have seen Stevenson swear that he's going to put on a masterful performance and have a back and forth fun fight, and then that has not transpired. So it's very hard to tell what you're going to get in a boxing match sometimes. My
Yeah.
prediction for this one is that I think that Fury is going to try to be the bigger guy in the fight and use his height to an advantage. And in moments where maybe Usyk is getting a little bit more of his shots off compared to him, he's going to drag him, he's going to hug him, he's going to squeeze the life out of him, and hope to tire him over 12 rounds. And once he's got him nice and tired, that's when he's going to try to whoop on him. He might try to do a big man rope a dope on Usyk. I think he definitely has the strength advantage. I don't think he has the speed advantage. But if he gasses out Usyk successfully, then they'll pretty much be tit for tat when it comes to the speed, and then Fury can really start to show off his skill. But I think he's going to be doing that in the later rounds, and definitely not the first couple. It's sort of like in a way where he's really in trouble in the early rounds if he doesn't figure out his opponents. But once he starts to figure him out, that's when he starts to put together the punches. So maybe I'm thinking that Fury. Everybody thinks that his grave is going to be dug here with Usyk. I think it's going to be a different Tyson Fury going into this one than the Tyson Fury that fought Francis Ngannou. I don't think he's going to have a giant beer belly or a belly full of ice cream. I think he'll probably train for this one way more than he did the other one. So I think he's going to have a game plan. He's still going to have speed. But I think his coach is going to be and his family are going to be smart enough to realize that he has the strength advantage, and so I think he's going to exploit that for most of the fight and eventually just counter Usyk's pitter patter shot style. Am
So
I sort of
yes.
accurate on that based on the how you've seen these two fights? Because I haven't seen all their fights.
Gosh, it's such a hard thing to predict, man, because I would say undoubtedly so, without factoring in the rejuvenation of Anthony Joshua. Because you got to remember, Anthony Joshua lost 2 straight fights to Usyk not that long ago, right?
Right?
But also a confused Anthony Joshua who doesn't. For a long time, he didn't know after the Andy Ruiz fight if he wanted to be a boxer or a puncher.
Yeah.
So, but
Look like
again, with
different fighters now.
yes, 100%. So, and like I've actually turned on Anthony Joshua a little bit, but that's beside the point.
Hmm.
These two are the best heavyweights in boxing right now, without question, right?
Yeah.
And I say that because their record speaks for themselves.
Uh-huh.
Um, they're both extremely technical, but if you want to make it a brawl, they will brawl you too. They
Right.
have no problem being put in that position, and that's where a lot of people fold. You saw with Devin Haney, a guy who I am very high on,
Mm-hmm.
when Ryan Garcia brought the fight to him,
Brought the
he
ruckus.
was not able to accommodate him. So Tyson Fury and Usyk, again, these guys are the guys. They're the right guys, and I think if this is gonna be a weird like angle, but if if both men were the same height, the
Mm-hmm.
footwork alone from Usyk would I believe would win
Right.
him this fight. Um, is he a pitter patter guy? I mean, you have to keep in mind that they came from the same Olympic training camp.
Mm.
Vasily Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk. So they have very similar footwork patterns. Now
Right.
Usyk doesn't use grappling as much, but we're talking about one of the top 3 cruiserweights of all time. Evander Holyfield's the only guy you can put up in that debate with him. Um,
Right.
but my prediction for the fight is, if you're gonna bet on Alexander Usyk to get a decision win.
Mm-hmm.
There's a small possibility that he just outboxes Fury for a majority of the rounds. I don't have a better breakdown for you guys than that,
Right.
because we have seen Fury give away some rounds. This is a classic boxing tactic, right? Where you're regaining you're getting your mojo back. You're dropping some rounds. We saw it in in his most recent fight against Francis Ngannou when he got dropped. He kind of just took a couple rounds off.
Yeah.
Um, but I think just based on activity alone, it is possible that Alexander Usyk can take some rounds off of Fury, and a majority of them at that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is from a betting perspective. Bet Usyk decision, but bet Tyson Fury KO. We have seen Usyk in a few spots. And this is why they've been very hard to pick out. But we have seen him hurt against Daniel Dubois, that body shot that was ruled a low blow, right? Do I
Right.
think even if it was ruled a low
Ultimate
blow,
nut shot
would
KO.
does Dubois finish him? I don't. It's
No.
hard to say. Um, yeah, but probably most likely not. So if you're gonna bet on Usyk the decision, bet on Tyson Fury the KO. For my money though, and or for the sake of my topology picks and just what I think is the most likely outcome, it's Tyson Fury winning a decision. I think Hank did a great job breaking down some of the tactics that Tyson Fury is going to employ. But one Tyson Fury that really shocked everybody was the second Deontay Wilder fight.
Mm-hmm.
He came in the heaviest he's ever weighed, and he beat the absolute hell out of Deontay Wilder.
At that
I think
weight.
it was stopped in the 5th round. Like,
Uh-huh.
Wilder's equilibrium was all off, and he actually did himself a lot of damage to his public image with that fight. Deontay Wilder did, because he said famously or notoriously after the bout that his suit was too heavy, and then he fires his coach after they throw in the towel. And yeah, it was a terrible look for him. But so there is a chance that we just get this bruiser, dosser crusher of Fury,
Yeah.
right?
This sausage.
But man, I'm trying to tell you guys that Usyk is that dude, and so is Tyson Fury. And I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park for either man. If it is, I'll be shocked. Um,
Oh, not.
I think, again, the game plan for Fury, Hank did a great job of breaking it down. One thing I'll add is that it's possible that the volume of Usyk wins him 6 through 12.
Right.
It's what Tyson Fury does in between 1 and 6 that really will win him this fight. Now, the other factor we're not taking into account is this match is in Saudi Arabia. Turki Al Sheikh
Uh-oh.
is a
Hide your judges.
self-admitted.
Hide your wives. The judges are coming.
Yes, Turki Al Sheikh is a well-admitted fan of Tyson Fury, and he's also double booked him for a match with Anthony Joshua.
Oh.
Now it hasn't been, confirmed, but he wants to make that fight with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury at Wembley Stadium. He wants to put 100,000 people in that bitch. Um, so Now, on the other hand, too, if we just take Turkey out of it, the judges love Tyson Fury. Okay, they do. I don't care who you are or what you say. It's just true. They love him. He's got a very judge-friendly style, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, just
He's
look
a
at that
bigger
facial hair.
man.
Look at
He's
that
a
face.
bigger
He's a
man,
beautiful
more
boy.
heavy-handed, and it is
Hmm.
what it is.
Right.
We did see where Anthony Joshua had some success against Usyk, but again, a lot of his shots never seem to really affect the man. But I'll just say, I think that that's a confused Anthony Joshua on two fronts where he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do in the ring, be a boxer or a puncher. You can't outbox Alexander Usyk. I'm sorry, you just
No,
can't do it.
no.
It's not going to happen. You got to
You have
make
to out strategy him.
yes, and also confused on the other end of he didn't know how to figure out what Usyk was doing. He did better in the second match, but he still looked confused. So I do think it's possible that Fury has a lot of power and he knocks out Usyk, but again, not the most heavy-handed boxer is Fury. He kind of more systematically breaks you down and stops you later.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I'm very interested in this fight. Like I said, it's the most significant heavyweight title match in the last 20
No,
years or more. But again, is it going to be the most exciting fight?
I
No,
highly doubt it. Highly doubt
it's
it.
not. It's not going to be. But it's like it's a treat. It's a treat for everyone, man. If you get a
Yeah.
chance, you got to watch this shit. It's all hardcore's dream match for sure, and we're just excited to
For that.
get a unified champion of the division, an undisputed champion. If it is only for 2 weeks until they strip him and give
Yeah.
Hergovich the IBF title. So
For that reason, how much do you think this pay per view is going to make in terms of numbers, people who buy it or people who attend? What do you think is going to be the ratio for that, given that it's been pushed since its original date? And honestly, have seen media personalities for UFC and boxing who have literally been informed by their own live chats that this show is happening, and they had no idea. That's how awfully this pay per view has been promoted so far. And so I'm wondering, like, even this, in spite of all the problems it's had with scheduling and being pushed back, and this or that reason why the fight couldn't happen here or there, how do you think that's overall going to affect how many people watch this thing at the end of the day?
how many people watch it is a different question than how many pay-per-view buys does it get.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be obviously going to be more than 3 or 4 million people who watch it all on Twitter and show their little posts here and there, and people will be interested in it, and people have their illegal streams. But yeah, in
I think
terms of
even
like
that's an
paying,
overestimation. Pay-per-view doesn't crack 500,000. It doesn't crack
yeah,
350,000. I think
hmm
if this pay-per-view does a 250,000 buys, it'll be a success.
yeah, I guess that's the state that boxing's at this point, right?
Yeah,
Where
but I mean, you
at
look at
least some
Canelo versus Munguia, it did 560,000 buys.
it's not
It's
bad.
pretty damn good. It's
Well,
pretty
yeah, it's
damn good.
Canelo for sure. They're hopeful and happy that they got the old names that still draw the people in. But
So I think it
eventually, you're
does
going to
less
need some
than
new
that.
stars. I I do think that if they book Ryan Garcia the proper way, I mean, make sure he's in a little bit of trouble, obviously, to stir the controversy, but make sure he's in just the amount of trouble that it doesn't actually interfere with the organization in terms of its championship lineages. Yeah, I don't say keep him on a leash, but make sure that he's got good staff that can make sure that he's a star for the next two
I
or three. I think it'd be a good thing for boxing.
I don't. I mean, that's a separate conversation. I think that if you, we either have to think that drug testing works or it doesn't. Okay. So
It doesn't.
if okay, if you think it doesn't, then everybody should be able to do steroids, and Ryan shouldn't. There shouldn't really be much that happens to him, right? But the
Hmm.
boxing public and the sanctioning bodies at large run on a basis that drug testing works. So in that case, you have to strip him. He should not be the champion. They should turn that contest over into a no decision or a no contest, and we move on with our lives.
Yeah, well,
He
he
gets a
already
chance to
does.
redeem himself, and
He's
he
got
gets
no
suspended
belts,
for a year. Oh, okay, gotcha.
right?
Um,
Well,
but
they've
again,
been
I'm
confirmed
with you.
that.
I think that drug
Mhm.
testing doesn't work, but
Yeah. It's been confirmed that, well, not confirmed. It's been confirmed for now because they all can always do their retrials, their retesting. But he was positive and then he was negative, like just a
For
few weeks
what?
after. So it's
For what?
for drugs. Well, for
For drugs.
PE.
No Nostrandrolone. Okay.
Mhm.
He tested positive for 2 steroids, Nostrandrolone and Osterine. Okay. He was tested negative from further testing to Nostrandrolone, but he still tested positive for Osterine. That's what nobody's fucking talking about. I'm sorry to tell you, he still fucking was doing PEDs.
Yeah. Seems like that nobody knows what the actual drug names when they talk about it. They just say he was on them.
I do though,
Yeah.
because I
Well, they
actually
should
read the
have you on
commission's
ESPN
report of it.
commentary then. Have you on ESPN commentary. Clean
I'm
that
just
place
saying
up.
he still tested positive for Osterine, which is something that naturally does occur in your body. Okay, let's not get
Right.
that twisted. But he
Hmm.
still had a very high amount of it. Okay,
Yeah.
now Standrolone is something that's a straight up anabolic steroid.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good that he got that one back. What's up, Cool Breeze? Good to see you, my brother. We just wrapped up talking about boxing. We're going on a little bit of a tangent, but yeah. This fight is very underpromoted. Usyk and Fury. I do believe you're right. If they do promote Ryan Garcia in the right way, and of course the controversy is always going to do him good.
Yeah. I mean,
But
how
yeah,
many
it's just
videos have come on average are coming from these major channels concerning Ryan Garcia alone? It's got to be like
what's
5 or 6 million views. I'm saying, like, on average, how many viewers do you think for these major YouTube channels that talk about Ryan Garcia? Like, what's the average for the amount
like well,
of views
uh,
that people are
hey
watching
man,
their Ryan Garcia videos?
there's a huge argument to make that YouTube and guys like Isha and guys like Jay, those are the guys really pushing a lot of people to watch. Like we used to say back when Jay was covering Bellator that we do a better job promoting than they do.
Hmm.
And that's just a reality. Like, they
Yeah.
just don't care because they have TV deals and they're already getting paid. They don't need to worry about
Yeah.
how much
I think
promotion they're putting into
the
things.
fans are responsible for at least like 20-30% of fighters being popular in the first place. We create the
Yeah,
characters, the gimmicks that they end up adopting as part of their personas. We take the
100%.
sound bites and we make them into memes, and now all of a sudden they're everywhere.
But yeah, and then there's a larger conversation to have about like how, I mean, my fucking conspiracy theory, old kooky grandfather comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, so Mike Tyson's fighting again,
Wow. Well, that's star
right?"
power. Yeah.
He lives under a rock, and
Even the
he's like
casual.
asking me about Mike Tyson. He goes, "The guy he's fighting is supposed to be pretty badass, right?"
Yeah.
And then we got
How
the
do you think he finds
undisputed
that? How does he find that out? How does
again.
he
Just
find that out?
somebody fucking tells him, and he goes, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
But again, it's like we have the undisputed heavyweight championship, a fight that I've said 3 or 4 times on this podcast already is the most
Hmm.
significant heavyweight title match of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But and I'll get into all of it. It's like heavyweight is the gateway drug to boxing. Some famous boxing commentator said that once.
Yeah.
And when you had guys like back
Yeah.
in the
Some guy.
day, like when you had guys like Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Rocky
Hmm.
Marciano to an extent, for a certain demographic of people, and then Muhammad Ali. These guys really like brought people together and made boxing feel like something more than just a sport.
For sure.
Um, when you saw Muhammad Ali get his brains beat out over and over and over again, people stopped. They
That's
just lost interest in boxing. Okay,
yeah.
and then Larry Holmes reigned over the division, and everyone hated Larry Holmes. Why? Because he beat up Muhammad Ali. Okay,
Right.
then what
But then who
happened?
beat
And
up Larry
this is
Holmes?
yeah, well, this is what happened. Is through the '80s, everyone stopped caring about boxing. You had guys like these two right behind me, Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns, carried the '80s, the Fab Four, right?
Right.
But again, and then you did have the one of the most expensive or highest purses for a boxing match in Sugar Ray versus Marvin Hagler once Sugar Ray came out of retirement. Okay, so that's significant. But again, what really lit boxing on fire was when Kid Dynamite was coming up.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
and Kid Dynamite's Tyson, or sorry, Mike Tyson.
Hmm.
Um, heavyweight became interesting again. But what happened? We saw Mike Tyson go through all this shit, lose all
And then
these
fall.
fights.
Yep. And then
And
people
then
tune
Lennox
back out.
Lewis, right? And then Lennox Lewis unified the division. He's the last undisputed heavyweight champion.
Now the question is,
Unified the
do
division.
you think that Fury or Usyk could be one of those
Usyk.
heavyweight? Do you think Usyk could be the next guy that gets people into heavyweight boxing and then boxing as a whole?
Well, I'll just say this. How old is Tyson Fury?
He's got to be around 38, 37.
Tyson Fury is 35 and Usyk is 37.
Yeah.
There is not a fucking chance that that happens again. I'm sorry. There's
Mm-hmm.
not a fucking chance that happens again, dude. Boxing
Right.
is fucking
Yeah.
dead. There's too many belts. But again, this is the effect of what I was getting into. It's like Lennox Lewis, the last guy to unify the division, then he leaves. It's a Klitschko era. They don't fight each other. They're beating everybody. They have nobody to fight. Boxing sucks ass. Tyson Fury comes along and he makes it kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, AJ or Francis could have been that guy. And there's
Yeah.
hope that maybe AJ comes in and he can steal some of the shine. Because I'm telling you, AJ's the more marketable guy. It sounds fucking weird to say, but for some fucking reason, my fucking grandfather asked me about Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul.
Yeah.
And
They're
nobody that I
universal.
know, huh?
They're universal figures. They're historical figures. They're symbols. Once they reach a certain
Right.
level of popularity, it goes beyond the sport.
Like my boss asked me, "Oh, I heard Michael Chandler or Conor McGregor's coming back," and I go, "Yeah, who cares?" But again, it's like the undisputed heavyweight title match is happening, and nobody has hit me up. I'm the combat sports guy that everybody knows, and nobody's fucking even asked me about it. What does he say?
Yeah.
Cool Breeze says neither guy moves the meter in the USA. I guess they're popular in Europe. Yeah, exactly. Like they're kind of getting, and maybe there's something to be said if there was an American in this match, it would be more significant. But again, for my eye, this fight has no promotion. It's happening in Riyadh. If this was at MSG or Wembley, there would be a lot more promotion. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it's something's got to give, and this is the step though. This is the right step because if we get a undisputed champion, shit gets easier to promote.
Right.
In simplest terms, you know what I'm saying? We get there's the baddest man on the planet, but there's also three other ones. It's like that shit doesn't work, dude. So,
They're the equally bad men on the planet.
but we'll
They're
get into
so
some
bad
other
they're good.
shit real quick before we
Yeah, let's
break
move
down the
on.
UFC card. Tell us what you want to go over because Hank sent me his picks. He's having a couple issues with his laptop, or else he'd show them himself. But we're gonna show you why you need to follow this podcast and listen to our picks
Sure.
because we do research, we check shit out, we give you guys good picks. Hank had some locks for some regional shows. Tell me what you want me to pull up.
Why don't you pull up ACA first?
Oh yes, Kadirov's Fight Club, where he runs you through the military and this Fight Club at the same time.
Yeah.
And if you don't make it good in this, oh, it says it's not available. Let's see. If you don't make it in this Fight Club, you go straight to the Chechen military and you become a pawn even further of Mr. Kadirov's evil plans to take over the world. Got it up right here, my brother.
Yeah, so I had Umarov because Nico Kikuchio had a terrible record and he was losing to anybody who could grapple, anybody who could strike, basically anybody with the pulse. And so I thought Umarov would run through him, but because he was losing to uh, guys that were just Daniel Torres, Vladimir Sikic, Jakub Kazuba, just three fighters in a
Kazuba.
row with 12 and 5, 11 and 1, 7 and 0. So anyone who's just a potential prospect, they run this guy through the ringer. And so I thought they were going to do the same thing with Umarov, but because Umarov doesn't get a lot of finishes in his fights, usually grinds them out, I thought he would win another decision because he'd done so in his last 4 fights. But boy, was I wrong, because Umarov absolutely steamrolled him and beat him the hell up and KO'd him on the feet with punches. and proved me wrong in terms of how I thought the fight would play out, but proved me right in terms of his talent level and his ability to walk through somebody who was just not on the same skill level that he was. So it's a good thing that he got punches. Now they might promote him a little bit more, send him a little bit higher up the rankings, and then we might have some good fights on our hands. And it's always nice to see a Russian fighter who can strike or have something beyond just the ability to grapple. Add some range to your promotion.
By the way, thanks for the sub, Cool Breeze. Appreciate you,
Yeah,
man.
Cool Breeze, you're a G. Thanks, man. So let's
Shout out to Atlanta.
yes, sir. And we can
Bellator
move
next.
on to the Bellator Champion Series. We had a sort of a casual pick, but it was one that I thought was right because Jaleel fought this one on short notice. And even though Jaleel is a decent striker, I thought that Doumbé was just a little bit better. Not just a little bit, I think he's way better. I think he has great timing, fantastic overhead shots. He can land that thing from anywhere. And I just thought he'd have the explosivity to drive through Jaleel Willis. And I think for the most part, that's what happened. He actually proved me wrong and got the first round KO. I should have seen it coming. A bunch of sports stars were there, so he had to impress them with the first round finish.
Naturally.
Thing about Willis, he does have power, and he clipped Doumbé on occasion. There were parts where he was coming in, and Willis just had the perfect counter punch for him, but none of them were rocking him or wobbling him or making him think, oh, no, now you got my respect. He was punching Doumbé, and then Doumbé was punching right back. There was actually a great moment where it looked like Willis dropped Doumbé, but he didn't. He faked him out like a Tai Tuivasa and fell back so that Willis could like rush forward like a predator, and then Doumbé, bam, hit him with a counter punch. Didn't put him away, but it was a funny move. And then he laughed a little bit afterwards. And then he pushed him up against the cage, landed the overhead right, and just sent him down to the canvas. And then he got back up and a standing TKO. So he looked absolutely fantastic in this fight. But what was
Definitely
even
what he
bigger,
needed.
what was even bigger than this tune-up fight is that they had Anthony Pettis.
Sorry.
I'm sure that Sergio was somewhere.
Tank texted me and he said, "Oh, he faced off with Sergio." I was like, "What? Sergio's
Yeah, I
a
think
35er."
yeah, he'd have
UFC
to get out a
flyweight.
microscope and look at Sergio Pettis, the specimen from
But
underneath.
yes, Anthony, I did hear about that. I was listening to this card,
Yeah,
like an
so
old
Anthony
timey
Pettis was
radio
there.
guy.
Went from karate combat to this. That's actually just a pretty nice transition. I wouldn't want to be in karate combat if it didn't pay me. And so he was in there in Bellator. They did the face off. They got some hype on everything. Cut some famous people in the crowd, elevating Doumbé's name. And I just got to say, it's a real shame what happened in his fight against Baki, because I really think that if Doumbé's foot hadn't landed in that piece of cage or metal or whatever the fuck that was, I think he would have won that fight. I think he was piecing up Baki at the start of the third round and was stuffing the takedowns relatively well. It's just a shame that Mark Goddard is a very, very angry individual and has no tolerance for bullshit, even if it's justified. And so it's over.
Hey,
It wasn't over
we've
for
all
his
been there
career.
before.
It wasn't over for his career. And now Doumbé's back. Now he's back in the
A
limelight.
couple questions about Doumbé. Isn't this bizarre? I just realized this. That fight was on PFL Europe, wasn't it?
No, this was well, the last
No.
fight was on
Yeah,
PF.
that's yeah, exactly. Now this is on Bellator. How does that even work?
I think Doumbé said in a promo package that he wanted to take this fight and then take this other guy, this other welterweight in Bellator, and then fight the champion in Bellator. And so he
Wait.
said, I want to go up.
Oh, so he wants to be a Bellator guy now.
Yeah. He
Got
said
it.
he wants to take on Jackson and win the title. So
Now that's a very smart. Well,
it's really hard to tell with these promotions whether
I
they're
think that's a smart strategy from a guy who he's PFL's PFLator is probably paying him very well
smart
with his name, but he's had an entire kickboxing career, right?
Yeah, right.
Have you ever seen his fight with Myrtle Groenhart?
I don't think so.
I wanna show you an image from it, but talk about Anthony Pettis versus Cedric, because actually I think that's a great fight.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Name and matchmaking wise,
Yeah,
nailed it.
and it looks fun on paper too. And they had on paper, this looks like a great fight. Thanks, Anthony. Yes, I like fellow Anthony's. So it was nice that they had Chael in the octagon to announce it as well. Adds a little bit of credibility to it.
And
Seemed
then
like a
they did
star-studded
face
card.
off in the cage, correct?
Yes, they did. They did. So that makes it a bigger deal as well. They were both civil about it. So, it's not going to be the level of Brock Lesnar shoving Daniel Cormier levels of hype, but it got the job done.
Good stuff later.
I know that the fight's value is dependent on the styles and how these two match up and what they're going to produce in the cage. So in that aspect, they didn't have to go too far and beyond with the dramatics of it and still made it goosebump inducing kind of matchup. So I think it did its job and it got me excited for it. That's for sure. I couldn't wait to see what little Sergio could do against Doumbé. So amazing to see
Not
Ant-Man.
Sergio though. It's Anthony, his older
I know.
brother.
Yeah, I know.
His significantly larger older brother.
Yes. It's going to be a
Okay, look at this. This is from Cedric Doumbé's fight.
How is
Oh
that?
yeah, Pettis fought Roy Jones Jr. and now he's back to real. I wouldn't say this is like a real fight. He's fighting a kickboxer in MMA. I mean, but hey, I think this is definitely a better match, just age wise and skill wise. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this. This is from his fight with Myrtle Groenhart in Glory. This is his last fight in Glory.
How did he pull that off? How the hell did he fall right on his head?
Oh my gosh, dude!
I mean, it's sort of destiny to end up having some highlight reel knockout motion.
Now, every time I reminisce on this, I say, "Oh, remember when Cedric fucking blasted fucking Myrtle out of the ring?" That's not exactly what happened. It's just how I like to remember it.
Yeah, fun.
Myrtle actually threw a flying knee while Cedric was up against the ropes, and that's what ended up happening. He did end up knocking him out pretty viciously, but yeah, just a hilarious picture I wanted to show you. But yeah,
that's a Three Stooges gag.
Good matchmaking from Bellator there, actually, or whatever the fuck it is now.
Yeah,
PFL.
The unknown entity known as Bellator.
I like it. I like the fight. But again, it's like I can tell you exactly how it's gonna play out. It's like either Pettis can't get him down and he gets knocked out, or Pettis subs him. There's really no other really. There's like the only two ways that I could go. So that's fun though. That's good matchmaking.
Yeah, I think that if Doumbé can stuff the takedowns of Baki and sort of prevent his grappling from getting anywhere, I think he's going to do the same thing to Pettis. He's going to cancel it out eventually.
Then we got your last pick for LFA.
Yes, the main event of my picks. Francis Schnelli by knockout in the first round. I just saw this guy was a KO machine. He was beating everybody that they put in front of him. He's going against somebody who gets knocked out pretty easily. And so I just thought he's going to treat him like he's done all his last fights and do it in vintage style, get a great first round knockout. And then that's exactly what happened. And so I predicted the fight perfectly. It was a fun knockout. I hope his star is bright and that they push him naturally enough so that they can give him some good competition later. And he's a more marketable name. I mean, that's the fight business, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely has the correct name, Francesco Nelli. That's fucking badass.
Yeah, he won his last. He won his last fight, knee and punches. First round, first 4 minutes of it, and then his fight before that, knee and a punch again. Like he's a Despain kind of character where he's doing all his fights that way. Not that way, but in terms of like on the regional scene in the start of his career, he's just consistent enough in how he's finishing these guys. So which is good to see. That's a style that could be figured out, but right now it's working gangbuster.
All right, we gotta get to these UFC picks because we're already almost at an hour.
Yeah.
So the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes of the program coming up next. UFC picks. Let's get right into this.
These messages.
Our first fight in the fabulous, illustrious, world-renowned UFC Apex is what we like to call around these parts a bathroom break fight. Got Emily Ducati.
I need to use the bathroom.
Got Emily Ducati going up against former stripper Vanessa Demopoulos. Vanessa Demopoulos is 10-5. Emily is 13-8. not the greatest records. We got Emily, who is 3-2, 3 wins, 2 losses in her last 5, and Vanessa, who is 4-1. Now, Ducati is a known, pretty good high school wrestler. I think she's got the ground game to hang with one Miss Vanessa Demopoulos. Um, and let's face it, she lost her last fight to Carolina due to not really being able to do much to her on the ground. So I think it's just going to be a pretty clear cut decision, maybe a splitty. But I think that Emily gets this one done via decision, and that's probably one of the more easy fights on the card to predict. Do I think that it's possible that Vanessa's getting better and she shows us a new wrinkle? Not really, because she's 35 at 115 pounds. But
Yeah.
who knows? This could go to split decision, and who knows? Maybe she gets a win because Emily Ducati's not the best female MMA fighter.
No,
But yeah, I don't. I think that this is one that she can win.
for sure. All right. I think that this time around, Vanessa Demopoulos is going to be jumping in the interviewer's arms, and they're just going to drop her like a bad habit, like a bag of rocks.
What's up, Kiwi?
She already didn't have jump privilege after winning fights she should have lost in her last 4 freaking fights. Her jiu-jitsu is fine enough, but I think her striking subpar, and they have her matched up against an experienced kickboxer in Emily Ducote, who usually gets the better of her opponents on the feet and makes it close with the women that she loses to. I think Ducote's losses to Angela Hill and Lupi Godinez are absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, and Vanessa is not on either of those fighters' levels. Even if she tries to jump onto their levels, like jump into their arms, I think Ducote pieces her up to a decision win, and the Greek will just be standing there after her loss and think to herself, "Et tu, Ducote." So, yeah, it's not going to be good for Demopoulos, but who knows? They might rob Ducote
Now,
again.
where is this pronunciation coming from? Dumopulus.
Demopoulos. Uh,
Demopulus.
I've heard,
Demopoulos?
I've heard people say it both ways.
MMA guru?
Maybe
You're not Scott. What is he? Scottish?
he's Welsh. He's
Yeah,
like
you're not Welsh,
North.
buddy. I hate to break it to you. So you don't need to pronounce things like a Wales man, like a
Mm-hmm.
Welshman.
Oh, I haven't been to Greece either, so I can't exactly pronounce it the way they do
Hey,
it.
fair play, fair play.
Yeah.
I usually just go off of what John Anik says because he actually interviews the fighters to get their actual
I thought Bisping and
pronunciation.
DC did that.
No, they don't because they don't do a lot as much work as John Anik does. He
Yeah,
actually
nobody
does
does. Nobody does.
much more
The only
research.
one on his level is Mauro Ranallo. Him and
Yeah.
Mauro Ranallo are the only ones.
Mamma mia. Kiwi's
Mamma
giving us
mia!
and give us your picks, guys. Give us your picks if you hear us talking about a fight. He backed Dakota KO 2-3 plus 900. Damn, my friend, that is awesome. I hope that hits for you. Beware the
Indeed.
Ides. Ides? Eads? All right, I'll have to decipher that code for us while we break down
Oh,
this other fight.
that's from Julius Caesar. That's the suit.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right,
The
Breeze.
Ides
I
of
didn't
March.
know you were a classical history kind of guy. All right, I love it.
I'm a historian. It extends to a lot of things. Greek plays.
We move on. Alatong Haley fighting Clayton Rodriguez. Alatong, he is the vet here, 32, 16, 9, and 2. 2 draws, man. Going up against Mr. Clayton here. He's 8-3. He's the young cat, 28 out of Rio. Both men have 2 losses in their last 5 fights. Alatong having 1 draw to a man named Gustavo Lopez, who I don't know who that is.
Related
But
to
he's got 2
Gustavo
wins
Fring.
against Kevin Kroom and Chad Helliger in his last 5 fights. Cledson, on the other hand, has a Shannon Ross KO, who I think I've actually accidentally KO'd one time, just walking down the street. 56% of Tapology's picking Alatong as the underdog, so I'm sure some dog money will come in on him. I think Alatong just has the more high-level experience. He's fought the better guys. He's hung in there with the better guys. And on the other end, outside of the Shannon Ross KO, Clayton really hasn't shown me much. Though I will say that his losses to CJ Vergara by split decision and Farid Basharat due to submission via arm triangle. I personally don't think that that's like anything really to like hang your hat on and be ashamed of.
Right.
Especially as a young cat, with relatively. I mean, he what? This is his 12th fight,
Hmm.
ever. So like, I think that those are decent guys to lose to, and for that reason, I'm gonna pick Alatong to get it done by decision. I think it's possible he gets a knockout, but
Yes, sir.
I think that he'll make it somewhat close, but I think it'll be a pretty clear cut decision win for one Mr. Alatong.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, why don't you open my letter, Gene? Oh, well, what do you know? I picked the same thing you did, Gene. My goodness. I'm not that impressed with Clayton Rodriguez at all. He got outpointed by CJ freaking Vergara. His KO of Shannon Ross has aged like milk. And I just don't think that he connects that much in terms of his striking. He's no Gregory Rodriguez. He's got the Z at the end. He doesn't have the S, okay? So he's not that level of Chad, okay? He's not on the scale. Meanwhile, I think that Alatang isn't 10 either, though his name suggests it. Like he says, I'm a 10. It's in his name, but he's not. He's like a 6 at best. Sure, he has less output in his striking, Alatang does, but Rodriguez's striking is just as ineffective. And he's moving up from flyweight, which I think will hinder his usual style a bit against the larger opponent. I think eventually Alatangeli will crack him and win 2 out of 3 rounds to win this one. I don't think he's getting a finish.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure if I see a finish going on here, but bantamweights always make it a good fight. We move on up the card to another bathroom break fight in the illustrious, world famous Apex Arena.
These are all decision merchants we're dealing with here, people.
Piero Rodriguez
They're
versus
great.
Ariane Canalosi, who I believe trades with Diego Lopez at women's
She'll win
strawweight
for
again.
sure.
Um, you got Piero 9-1 in her
Pierre.
last 4-1 out of her last five, and Carnelossi is 3-2 in her last five. Though Carnelossi has some of the better names on her resume, um, losing to Lupita Godinez and Angela Hill. I think, and then like obviously Pereira losing with an armbar to Jillian Robertson, who we've just seen get better and better. Um, I don't think you really could go too wrong either way here, but a lot of people are picking Rodriguez to get this one done by decision. And I tend to agree with them, just based on the fact that I haven't seen much that impresses me on the Carnelosi side. Now, I did just mention that I believe she trains with Diego Lopez. I could be totally wrong on that, maybe because she just looks like him.
Is
Um,
this Dora the Explorer all grown up?
I'm not sure if she's Brazilian. I think she's Mexican.
Damn. Well, that's a shame.
But yeah,
We were
I don't
close.
really have much on this fight. I just got her. I got Piera to get it done, mostly because she's undefeated until losing that fight to Jillian Robertson. Who knows if
Which is not a bad
Carnelosi
loss.
can employ? Yeah, exactly. Who knows if Carnelosi can employ some of the things that got it done for Jillian? But we'll go to your picks.
It seems to me like Rodriguez is a very talented grappler, while Ariana Carnelosi gets taken down quite a lot if she's at a disadvantage in the wrestling. This one seems like a pretty clear pick for me based on both women's last fights. But I will say that Carnelosi's no slouch and has only lost to really good women in the UFC. Still, I think that grappling's her main issue. If it is, then she's in for a rough night. And I think that Pierre Rodriguez makes light work of her, restoring the Rodriguez name after her dumb little brother, Clayton, soiled the family name in the fight before. They're both Rodriguez's and they're both on this card, one after the other. Coincidence? I think not. Also, she's got the Piera name on her side. So I think that Chael P. Sonnen is going to be rooting for her because he loves Alex Piera. So I'll go along with on the ride with Chael and root for Piera.
So our friend Mr. Kiwi has K Rod to get it done. What the fuck? Chain Man starts too late.
Oh boy.
Post USADA Carnelosi. Sheesh, he says.
Sheesh.
BR? How drunk are you, Kiwi? Tell me.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I was
I think you did a much better much better job breaking down the fight than I did. We move on to a man named Bus. When I first saw this fight getting booked, I thought that Warley Alves was going to fight a bus, which I then said, that's not fair. They're gonna have him fight a bus. What is
he'd
he gonna
probably
do?
still lose.
And then I said, oh, it's Abus Magomedov. Right, I get it. Abus Magomedov, who made his UFC debut shortly after the last guy to knock out Warley Alves, Ikram Aliskerov. So this is like a trap fight when they booked him against Sean Strickland. I think that they had
Here's
me
the thing,
confused.
guys.
I was like, which fucking guy from the Caucasus Mountain region is this guy? Is he Ikram Aliskerov or is he Abus Magomedov? I had him confused. So I thought that he would do really well against Strickland. He ends up getting knocked out against Sean Strickland. And then he loses a decision to Kyle Braujo, which we've actually come to find out that that's not really the worst thing in the world to have happen to you because
No.
Kyle's on a pretty upward trajectory. Warley Alves, one-time defeater of one Colby Covington, gave him his first loss in the UFC due to submission. Then he's been on a just terrible run. Loses to Randy Brown by a submission. Who gets submitted by Randy Brown? And then he has this wonderful fight in Fight Island against Munir Lazez. Oh, what happened to Mr. Hank the Tank? I think he fell out. He then has this wonderful performance against Munir Lazez and Fight Island during the Pandy, and
The panty.
he kicks the shit out of his body so bad that Lazez has to forfeit the match. He gives up. He gets stopped. That was we were all big on Munir going into that fight, or at least I had been. Until Munir then comes out later after another win and he says, well, I'd just like to thank Daniel Kinahan, who is wanted for being head of the Irish Mafia. So yeah, maybe that guy wasn't the right guy to put our stock
Faith into. Yeah.
He's now on a 3-fight losing streak to Jeremiah Wells, Nicholas Dalby, by split decision, mind you, and Ikram Aliskerov. Those are not bad losses, and these guys are actually the same age. But Warley Alves, I think we've seen him on a higher stage, and we know that he folds when he gets there. And plus, he's been on a bad run as of late. Abus, again, 31, actually more fights, probably in weird, random promotions. Like, yeah, he gets a Kimura against a guy named Slavisa. How do you even get a Kimura on somebody in high level MMA? That's why I would say it's probably not. KSW, he's
Unless
got
you're
a
Tommy
win.
Aspinall, I don't see it happening.
Hey, good point. Which that wasn't a Kimura, that was an arm lock against
Yeah.
Volkov.
It's the closest I
Anyway,
can think of. Closest I
he
can.
knocks out Stoltzfus in his UFC debut, and then he loses 2 fights to high level middleweights. Now what happens in these fights? Because you can see how I think it says moderate, but pretty heavy favorite at minus 275 and a plus 220 for Worley. What happens in these fights is you go, Abus is going to knock out Worley, right? Duh. And that's probably
Right.
what's going to happen. But there have been times where I thought one man would get an easy knockout, the other man, they hold him. We overrate one guy, Abus, and we underrate another guy. I'm going to change my pick to decision. I think Magomedov gets this done. Does he stop him? It's likely. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, hey, Worley knows he's fighting for his job. Does the Apex change shit up a little bit? Probably not. But I'm going to go
Probably
safe and go
makes him
decision.
more isolated and sad. And ruins his mentality.
And before my picks go away, because I have to switch back and forth through screens, I got to save really quick. Yeah, I'm going to just go safe and go with the decision win for Abus.
Lovely. All right. Well, I had the same mindset as you one round earlier. Poor Alves. He just gets finished by anybody with a bit of talent. Wells, Dalby, Aliskarov, the lot.
Dalby did not finish him. He went to split decision.
Anybody with the pulse. This is clearly a bounce back opportunity for a bus. Served to him with butter and a side salad. He's carving into this Brazilian steak and putting him
I think
away.
there's a lot of fights like that on this card.
Yeah, plenty. Even though it's not in Saudi Arabia, which is wild. I guess the Apex has its biased people running the show as well. Vegas. Oh no, the house always wins. Anyway, like all the others who finished this washed SOB, unfortunately. Abu isn't stealing the win this time, as Sean Strickland would call him. He's blitzkrieging Alvis with the heart of a German.
He is from Germany.
Exactly. And he's going to kick him to death. If he says he's going to grapple, all I'll say is, don't trust a German, you guys. Don't trust a fucking German. He won't do the man dance.
Unless his name is Max Schmeling.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Curtis is going to be rooting for this guy big time. God bless him. Hey, what's the fuck's the matter, Kurt? I thought you should be rooting for me. Don't trust a German, you guys. This Curtis.
Don't forget that main event was at the Apex, Kiwi.
That's right. It was to benefit Magomedov. The Apex house always wins for the bus because they need the bus to get out of the Apex. They need transportation afterwards, so they got to have the bus in good shape.
100%.
So I think Abus has decent kicks, and so I think those kicks are going to make.
Worley's got some good kicks too, man.
Yeah, it does, but this guy's kicked people in the dome on the main UFC roster, so I could see him getting a finish.
We move on and up the card. Oh, jeez.
Dope.
To Tamiris Vidal versus Melissa Gatto. I have not made a pick on this fight just yet. It's at 135. The absolute worst women's division that exists. Unless you're talking about Kayla Harrison fighting at 155 in PFL. Gato, the cat, right? That's what that means. Maybe not in Portuguese, but she's 8-2. She's 8-2-2. What a weird record. On a 2-fight losing streak, 1-3 before that. Tamiris Vidal. I think she had that good win in LFA 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Got her up to the big league. She knocks out Ramona Pascual, who could possibly be a women's volleyball player or maybe a soccer mom. I'm not entirely sure. She then loses a fight to a woman named Montserrat, which I believe I think she was actually a decent fighter at the start of her UFC run, but I don't even think she's signed to the UFC anymore. Again, I have seen this woman fight, but I could not tell you when or what or how.
Why or where or when.
I know that Melissa Gatto is she's a live body in there. She is well-rounded. She can strike. Oh, she was DQ'd. Interesting. Okay. So Kiwi actually has this fight to be finished in the second or third round at plus 550. That's a good bet, my friend. And I'm gonna second you, and I'm gonna say Melissa Gatto gets this one done. I think she's just a more well-rounded fighter, but again, nothing really like impressive.
Smart.
That I've seen from her. But again, she just kind of is there, and she hangs in. You know what I'm saying?
She exists. At least she exists. I can't say that.
Yeah, and she won her UFC debut, or actually, she had that fight with Sajara Eubanks. By the way, where the fuck has Sajara Eubanks been? Where she actually knocks her out. She was a huge underdog in that fight. But besides that, she's got 2 losses to Tracy Cortez and De Silva or Lipsky. Not bad losses to me, even though Lipsky's dead to me. De Silva's dead to me. Not terrible losses.
Got to take into account
was undefeated up to that point. Tamiris Vidal, again, I wish I could say more about her, but I just don't know.
Who cares?
I don't know anything about this woman, so they saved that.
Yeah.
See, and then it does this fucking thing where it won't save. Like, what the fuck? I'm clicking on it.
Just click a little harder. I'm sure it'll work. Or close it and then hit save.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. Oh
well. All right. So that's your pick, and it's also mine as well. I got Gatto by decision. The card's going to get a lot more exciting down the line. I got way more finishes once things start to pick up. But for right now, All I know about this fight is that Gato can shoot takedowns and that Vidal can't stuff takedowns. Simple as that. Vidal got taken down 4 times by Montserrat Rendon, and besides her flying knee on the Contender Series, that's been her legacy so far. Gato looked good against both Cortez and Da Silva. I think she snaps her losing streak here. Plus, I think that Vidal is a smaller fighter and is easier to get taken down. So I think the Gato pounces and feasts on little Vidal the mouse. Just gets out her claws and goes for the kill. Cat fight, as Joey Styles would put it. So I think she's going to pounce and destroy her prey. She won't give him mercy like the lion did.
It. Is there any stock or weight to be put into the fact that Vidal is 3 years younger and 1 inch taller?
I guess so, but I think that if you have the lack of technique that you're getting taken down that many times,
also,
you're supposed to crush.
Thank you for mentioning this, Kiwi. She is taking this fight on Gato is taking this fight on short notice up a weight class. Does that change anything?
That's definitely going to help her, I think.
Okay.
It's going to give her a strength advantage, that's for sure. The musculature and the weight, that when she shoots the takedown, she'll have more behind it. So, her kryptonite is getting taken down. So, I mean,
if you're going to pick an underdog, I'm not sure if this is the one to do it on. But
there's one that is a good underdog, and I picked them. So, we'll be there down.
All right. Our next fight is Umar Sy, a newcomer to the UFC.
Umar Sy, mon ami.
Fighting a opponent. His opponent fell out. So now they got this guy named Tuco Tokos, who I have never heard of, and I don't think anyone ever has. Maybe Isha has because he fought in Fury FC 2 months ago. I probably watched that fight.
He was my buddy in high school. You know, we go way back.
And then look at this. He fought in a promotion that has the Mortal Kombat Dragon. Literally ripped right off right there. Shudo Brazil.
Nice.
That's fucking dope. He lost to a Chinese guy named Ming Yang Zhang. Not a good look. Oh, in the road to UFC. Okay, interesting.
Great.
Then we got this guy, Umar Sy, who's undefeated from France. I mean, we always fade the French around here. Not sure if you guys were aware of that. The only French guy that I actually like is one. Yeah, literally, I was gonna say that. So, you know what? I hate to say this, but this guy has some KSW experience. I think that our guy Isha would be the guy to ask about what's his name here. And then what is KOF? What the fuck is that?
Appear in the chat, Isha. Tell us all about this.
Oh, he's busy this weekend.
Damn it.
Geez, a French guy who has wins in KSW and Aries by knockout, decision, submission. I mean, that's good, showing you that he's got some well-rounded skills. I believe Luis Henrique da Silva is like an old vet. Look, I think that it's pretty clear that Umar is the guy to pick here. Though, looks like Tuco Tokos is training at a Kill Cliff. That's a good gym. Again, 2 unknown guys. Nobody really knows what's going to happen here. I'm sure there's some other people that have better insight on the way this fight's going to go. Not to mention it's at 205 pounds, the worst division ever in the history of combat sports outside of heavyweight or middleweight. Yeah, again, I'll just pick C by decision. It's probably going to go differently, but this guy is also from France, so I am a little bit tempted to maybe pick Mr. Tuco Tokos here. And then look at this. He's ranked number 6 in what? Tapology. Anyway, I'm sure Hank did a little bit more research
region of the world
for this fight. So we're going to go over to see what the lowdown is for our friend here.
I'll give you the lowdown. I'll give you the highest of highs. I'll give you the top down. I'll give you the freeway. I'll give you the three-way. I'll give you all sorts of angles on this thing. I think Umar Sy is going to get a first-round KO. Tuco Tokos got popped for PEDs after his Contenders debut.
PhDs.
And,
post-hole diggers.
On STDs. And has one,
popped for STDs.
one on the independent scene, likely on PEDs as well. since. Umar has dealt with PED poppers before, given his experience in KSW. So I don't think this will be a
Nice.
disadvantage for him in this fight. He also has first round knockout power and has enough skill and explosivity that I feel like the junkie Tuco Salamanca won't be a problem for him. I think he's going to beat the piss out of this little mule boy. Plus, he's younger, and in my opinion, he's a bigger prospect. So he should find the punch or combination that puts Tuco away, because maybe even a head kick to continue the C legacy after Sadabusi. And then I had a little joke at the end here. Oh shit, Omar coming, man! Omar's coming. When you come with the king, baby, you best not miss. This is not.
And Kiwi says that fading the French has not done him very well recently. Well,
so change that up. Do the opposite, like George Costanza.
Depends on what country you're from.
Immediately.
I will just say that. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Sadabusi's the guy they want to win. Plus, this guy's coming in on short notice. We've seen short notice replacements do well, but we move on. Tom Nolan. I know my boy
Ozzy. Woo!
On this guy right here.
Putting all his money in this corner.
Tom Nolan is going up against Victor Martinez. I kind of combed through. I looked over their records. I didn't do it like that, but I looked over their records and I determined that on top of getting knocked out by Jordan Leavitt, which is just a terrible look. Again, anything can happen in MMA, but Jordan Leavitt's not really a knockout guy. I determined that Tom Nolan has a better strength of schedule, not to mention that getting knocked out by Nicholas Mata, who you may mistake for Clayton Rodriguez, like I have before.
My goodness.
I've thought that Nicholas Mata and Clayton Rodriguez were the same guy.
They're the same person.
They definitely look the same. But I have since corrected my ways, and I found out that actually Nicholas Mata is a much better fighter than Clayton Rodriguez is. So I think that Tom Nolan being the younger guy, just the guy with more power, the less expired guy.
That's right.
I think he gets it done.
Fresher
I'm going to pick him by knockout in the third round, the Idaho Skatesman special. But I could see it ending much earlier than that. And I also don't think that I don't want to sit here and tell you to put money on Victor Martinez.
Yeah.
But could we see like a point, when this 6-1 Aussie guy, where it's possible that he loses this fight? Yeah, I mean, of course, but I think he's probably a safe pick. I'm gonna pick him by knockout.
Lovely. I have one big question for this fight. How do you lose to Jordan frickin' Leavitt by knockout? It's a serious question. Victor Martinez is an average striker with less height and less reach than Tom Nolan. He leaves himself open for strikes and just has so many disadvantages here physically compared to Nolan that I legit think this is a job fest being presented to Nolan and us by the UFC, specifically the owners of the Apex. They're getting behind their boy, Tom Nolan. They like the sounds that his punches make when it's in an echo chamber. It's too bad that Nolan got destroyed by Nicholas Mata, which is the only thing that sort of hurts my mindset going into this. But Mata's a decent vet with a good amount of power in his fist.
Clayton Rodriguez is not.
Eventually, yeah, exactly, comparatively speaking. So eventually he's going to land good on somebody, and that just happened to be Nolan. I'm still high on Tom. I'm high on other things as well, but I'm high on Tom right now for his first round KO of Bogdan Gran. Rest in peace, the Smith / Bogdan family. He got a great knockout in his Contender Series debut. I still remember it. He looked so smooth, and he looked powerful on the feet, and likely still is powerful and smooth. I think he just had some bad luck in his last fight. So I think Nolan's going to take his opportunity and flatline Martinez second round KO and get one step closer to restoring the Aussie era in the UFC. And I know that Kiwi's going to just cream himself.
But look at this Fury belt, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. That's sexy. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Next fight up the card this is going to be fight of the night, fight of the year contender, Angela Hill versus Luana Pinheiro. I've been going back and forth on this fight. Angela Overkill Hill is a decision merchant. We all know it to be true. She can't fucking knock out
She's a
a
good merchant.
fucking. She couldn't knock out a puppy, a tiny puppy.
Yay,
Not
yay, yay.
not the best analogy, but and she couldn't knock out a small child if she tried, right?
Not if it was Eric
Though
Martin.
she does have fantastic Muay Thai though,
Mhm.
and I can appreciate it a little more now since I've been watching so much Muay Thai. She's got great Muay Thai. She's got nice kicks, nice teep kicks. She's really good with range. Um, Luana Pinheiro, again, another fighter that I just couldn't tell you.
One thing
Like,
about her.
yeah, like I've seen her fight. I remember her getting knocked out by Amanda Ribas, but not really. Um,
Oh, I remember that. I remember that. It's very vivid.
uh, I mean, I obviously want to pick Angela Hill by decision,
Mm-hmm.
but it's this right here bothers me. 39 years
Yeah.
old
So she
at
was able to look great just a year ago, so I don't count it.
39 years old at strawweight has me not sure. The only saving grace for her, I think, here is the fact that that um I think that Luana's gonna want to strike with her. Luana's gonna
Yeah.
wanna. Nice. Fuck yeah, I'm stoked with
Wanna
that.
wanna. That was a good combo.
I
It's a
think
good
Luana's
matchup.
gonna want to strike with her, and I think that that's gonna lead to her downfall. Now, Tapology crew has it 60-40 Luana. I think this is a 50-50 fight. That's reflective somewhat in the odds. The odds makers have it like the other way. Tapology's got it the other way for Angela Hill. I think this fight, the only thing I know for sure is this fight goes to the decision, and it could even be a split decision. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna ride with Hill to get it done. The only thing that's worrying me now, as we get to our next fight, is all of us we're pretty aligned on our picks. Me
Mhm.
and one Mr. Hank. We haven't picked a single underdog yet. Oh, besides
We'll
Mr.
see.
Alatong Haley,
We'll
but
see.
he's a very slight underdog. So that's what's got me worried. Is it's like, dude, there's gonna be a dog that's gonna win
Right.
one of these fights,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and it has me kind of just not sure at this point. But again, I think that this card is not like last week's card where it was very, very close and very good
Yeah,
matchmaking.
we're back to Brazil for this one.
I think that this is a card with a lot of get right fights,
Hmm.
and that's reflective in our next fight here with Adrian Yanez
If
against.
you pick a certain fight one way, I'm gonna be surprised and respect you. We might end up having the exact same picks at the end of the day, but don't show them. Don't show them. But
Um, we have Adrian Yanez taking on a man named Vinicius Salvador. Again,
Ooh,
another get right fight. I
yeah.
went through fucking A, I gotta fucking zoom out of this. I went through Salvador's record. Adrian Yanez, I don't really need to tell you a lot about him. It's this Salvador guy that we're not sure about. He's another knocker outer of Shannon Ross. Okay, join the club, the fucking club of everybody ever in the world. Um, he has a lot of regional experience, and that's reflective in his what is that 20 fights that he's had so far. Got his name off. I mean, how are these guys getting in the UFC off of KOing Shannon Ross? I don't know. Is that something I can do? Can I get a payday in the UFC by knocking out Shannon Ross? Sorry. I think I'm funnier than I am sometimes. Look at this
It
disparity
does.
in Tapology. 94% of people are picking Adrian to get it done, and only 4% are picking poor Vinicius Salvador to get it done. Um, Not much to say here.
I don't blame the people who faded Giannis. I don't blame them.
Okay.
I'm a little confused, but I don't blame them.
Right. That's funny. Um, I think this is a get right fight. I think that Yanez gets it done. He is coming off of two KO losses to Jonathan Martinez and Rob Font, but I think that that's a matter of how he was pushed. Right. He KOs Randy Costa in an exciting fight, wins a very close match to Davy Grant, beats a man named Tony Kelly, who I believe was Andrea Lee's boyfriend. He knocks him out, or
Really? Lovely.
yeah, he knocks him out. And then they give him Rob Font. Like, what?
That's a jump.
Yeah, like a huge jump. And then they give him Jonathan Martinez after he gets knocked out by Rob Font. So
That's a really bad turn of
what
affairs.
I think, this is the way I think that this shit is made, is they gave him a pay bump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then they go, oh, you want more money? Well, you got to fight guys in your pay grade. So is he making less money now? Who knows? But this is a get right fight. I think Yanez gets it done. I'm just hesitant to pick him by knockout. We don't know exactly. I think that Vinicius Salvador is a guy he's not going to go in there to lose, even though he has lost decisions to Victor Altamirano and CJ Vergara, guys that can't necessarily strike like Yanez does. But I think that they're decently well-rounded fighters, and I think going to decision losses against them isn't the worst thing ever. So I'm gonna pick Yanez to get it done by decision. Could he get a knockout? Let's hope so for his career's sake.
And for our sakes as viewers. Yeah, I had the same thought process as you, although in my notes I do ramble a bit, so get ready for this one.
Go ahead.
I got Yanez by round 1 KO. Vinicius Salvador's a bum. No two ways about it. He's lost to Victor Altamar.
Sorry, he meant Tony Kelly, the Nazi guy. That's still her boyfriend, Andrea Lee's boyfriend. Thank you, sir.
Oh, that's lovely. It just gives me more hope in humanity the more I learn about these people. He's lost to Victor Altamirano and CJ Vergara again. Horrible losses to have. He's KO'd Shannon Ross.
I don't think that CJ Vergara is a bad loss, dude. I don't.
He's decent, but he just worms his way out to a victory, and he doesn't get the finish on people. And it's just
so because people don't get finishes, they're bad fighters.
No, I'm just saying that CJ just barely scratches and claws his way to a win.
I think that's a fair assessment and criticism.
So he's KO'd Shannon Ross again. Everyone at flyweight has done that already. He's going.
I've done that.
He's good. Yeah, me too. I think we both did it at the same time. We just saw him at a one time. We just wanted to kick his ass, and that's exactly what happened. Treated him like Ilya Taporia style. He's going up a weight class like another flyweight again on this card, only to get stomped out and made him feel made like he never belonged in MMA.
Oh, that's a good point. He's going up a weight class?
Yeah, I think he is. Because he was in flyweight in his last couple fights.
Vergara is a bantamweight.
Yeah, but I think in his fight before that, he was a flyweight.
Okay, so gotcha.
He's making the transition, to no avail.
Oh, and Kiwi, sorry to keep cutting you off, but Kiwi says Salvador is a fraud. Thank you. Thank you for
we need that. I appreciate you. If MMA isn't cyclical, it sure tends to rhyme a lot. This is such an easy win for Yanez, I can't wrap my head around it. Salvador has okay leg kicks, but not Jonathan Martinez style leg kicks. So he should not present any problems for Yanez on the feet. If Yanez has any fight IQ left, and I will admit that sometimes he doesn't, this should be easy. First round, lights out work, Candy Crush at the sorority party. So
I think that the only reason I'm not thinking that he gets it done in the first round is I think that Adrian Yanez is a guy that takes a little while to get going.
Yeah.
So first round is something I'm a little hesitant about, but yeah, I definitely he definitely needs a knockout because this is kind of a layup for him.
Yeah, he needs to get a highlight reel KO.
We move up the card. This is one that I have been going back and forth on because I need an underdog pick, even though I already have one with Alatong. Ramiz Brahimai versus Themba the Rock Johnson Garimbo.
Yes.
Now,
Rocky.
I could give you lots of my thoughts on this. Ramiz, obviously, he's coming off of a long layoff. This is the guy who his ear almost fell off. I remember this because this is like early into my MMA, watching every card, being very consistent, watching every fight.
This guy named Kid Dynamite almost bit it off. It's crazy.
He almost lost an ear, dude. I remember like half of it was coming off. You got to take some time off after that. So I understand.
No, get right back in there. 2 months notice. Come on. Take that paper.
So if you go through Ramiz's record, okay, this guy is like the fucking what's his fucking name? See, I'm already forgetting his name. Robelis de Spain. He's like the Robelis de Spain.
Oh God, he's already fading away from our memory.
He's like, yeah, right. He's like the Robelis de Spain of submissions. He he's got submissions in the first round like you wouldn't believe. Like a hooker has STDs. Brahimai has
Yeah, I mean,
first round
just ask
submissions on
Dan.
his record.
Just ask Dan about it.
But if he does not get that he loses decisions because he's a very muscled up dude and he can't really strike for shit. Now again, he's a youngish guy. He's had 2 years off. Has he become a high level Cedric Doumbé, Alex Pereira type kickboxer in that amount of
Who the
time?
hell knows?
Probably fucking not. But on the other end, we got Themba Garimbo, who lost by submission to AJ Fletcher. Okay.
It's a guillotine.
Okay, talk us through that. Guillotines
Well,
don't count, I guess, against you.
no, I'm saying that with guillotines, those often come from positions where the other opponent actually has an advantage and is taking them down or asserting their dominance and is pushing forward. Whereas rear naked chokes and ones where they're getting subbed on bottom shows that they weren't ever in control in the fight and that they were actually starched to a submission. Whereas a guillotine tells me that it was back and forth and that the other guy was pushing forward. Oh, and he got caught in something, you know? So guillotines, I think of like think about Vitor Petrino. He was beating up Anthony Smith, holding him up
I
against
don't
the
think he was
cage.
beating up Anthony Smith.
Well, he was hitting him a few times. He was getting the better of the
The fight
striking.
wasn't even long enough for us to
I know,
see
but he had
anything he
I
was
could
doing.
just tell that he already had good timing and that he was hitting him with decent shots. And he pushed him up against the cage and he lifted him up and he fell into the guillotine. And so, good
That's
for Smith. He got the submission, but that required a lot of timing and one opponent to make a mistake while pushing forward. And I see that with guillotines where someone's on top and then they transition into the guillotine and that's how they catch
yeah,
him.
but I
So
think
that's
that
just
well,
more
your
fair.
argument kind of falls apart for the defensive Themba Garimbo there because that's terrible fight IQ to get standing guillotined against a clinch and go for a takedown as a guy's locking up a guillotine.
Yeah, but so did David Onama.
But what I'm saying is I'm trying to make the case that this is a bad submission loss
Anyway, no, just
for
keep
Themba.
going. I interrupted.
That's all I'm saying. This is just like AJ Fletcher's not the highest level guy to be getting subbed by. He then gets his little endorsement thing by The Rock, who steals money from the fighters, which they don't care about because they won't form a union. So good for them. Gets a house. He trains with Colby Covington, who is like
Missing in
kind of
action.
kind of racist. So I don't know why he would train with Colby Covington, but Colby Covington vouches for this guy. Colby Covington's never lied about anything. He's got to be telling the truth about this guy.
He's got to
He
have so
beats
much talent.
Takashi Sato via decision, and he knocks out a man named Pete Rodriguez. So, anyway, look, this fight either ends with Ramiz Brahimai getting a submission in the first round, or Themba Garimbo knocking out Ramiz Brahimai. Geez, I know that I probably shouldn't be, but I'm kind of torn on this one. But I think overall the smart pick is Themba Garimbo knockout, third round, second round after Ramiz is nice and gassed. I think it's hard. I think since I'm so torn, I would like to go decision. But I am pretty confident that Themba can get a knockout. The crazy underdog pick would be if you can find a prop out there, see what Rami's submission in the early part of the rounds is. But ultimately, I think the safe pick here is to go Garimbo via knockout, and I can't fucking save my picks again. Let's make sure they're all there. Sorry.
No problem.
Go ahead.
So I think it's going to be
What's up,
Garimbo
CST?
round 2 KO. Ramiz Brahimaj lost to Court McGee, so I can't trust him to beat a guy with way more talent than Court McGee does. His takedown defense and with more talent, takedown defense, and
Oh wow, Kiwi says Themba by sub.
nice.
Whoa.
That would pay out big time if
3D
it happened.
chess.
I think this fight plays out like Jonathan Pierce versus David Onama, where Onama just had enough ability to reverse the takedown attempts and outstrike his opponent to secure the win. In Themba's case, I think his power and his angles for the striking are fantastic. And once he stuffs a takedown from Ramiz, he's in serious trouble. I am remised to say that his time is up and Themba's time is now. You can't see him. He's got the freaking Rock in his corner. He can't
I
afford
don't
to
think
let
he's in his
Hero
corner.
down now. He's
Oh,
got
oh,
the
yeah,
he's got the Rock
supporting
in
him.
his corner.
Sorry,
Spearing.
sorry.
I think that
Rock
we
in his
see
corner.
Garimbo go on it. Yeah, that's right. I was in the corner of the tribal chief, and now I got my boy Garimbo. That's right. We got the new bloodline. The nation of racial domination has started. It's a black revolution in
Jeez.
the UFC. Anyway, he can't afford to
God.
let Hero down now, as Moicano would say. I cannot afford to lose. I think we see Garimbo go on a run, starting from the last couple of fights forward, since he has so much more breathing room to train now. And think about his fights. I see he's him, bro, getting a second round KO with a great highlight. I just think he's got way more power in his fists and an ability to stuff the takedowns, which he's shown before. So I think he's gonna get back to his feet and just hit him with something that puts him out.
Yeah, I like it. Like I said, man, Ramirez is a guy who's why was your Moicano Italian? That's
Hey, you
hilarious.
fucking knows there are no geese in Italy. What the hell's wrong
I
with you?
can't afford to lose.
Mamma mia!
Oh my god.
Wow.
Um, mine is MMA Steez. I've reposted some of Jay's stuff. I actually follow you on their Combat Sports today. I appreciate it. Do you have a Twitter page, my friend?
I do. Uh,
I don't
let
think
me
he's
take a look
comfortable
here.
giving it out. He seems a little bit shy there.
Okay.
Um, Notes, what's up, bro? It's good to see you. I'm glad you're in here, man. You're the man. Always
Seriously.
fucking cracking me up over in Rush Hour's chat. Um, we move on up the card to the penultimate. I believe this is a co-main event. The
Yeah, it's Hank the
penultimate
Tank.
fight on
I
the
got Hank
card.
the Tank. Yeah, I also have a handle for Hank the Tank on Twitter. With
It
the
is
Twilight Zone from the third season.
the second to last fight, the penultimate, the co-main event is
Oh
the
man,
return of one Callan Chaos Williams against a man named Carlston Harris, who I always end up picking against, and then he just wins. Like, gosh, can this guy stop fucking up my picks? He lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov, which, like, who doesn't lose to Shavkat Rakhmonov? And then he chokes out Jeremiah Wells in his last fight 9 months ago, which I actually think is a great win. Um, Chaos Williams loses to Michelle Pereira in a very close fight, mind you. Um, Beats Semmelsberger by decision, which you probably should be knocking out a guy like Semmelsberger. This is also 2 years ago, so Semmelsberger had a little bit left in the tank. Miguel Baeza, a really hittable guy who he knocked out, but I thought Miguel was going to do better than he did in that fight. Then loses a decision to Randy Brown, split. Then he loses another decision to a man named Ronaldo Bedoya, who I cannot remember who the fuck that is at this moment. Um, Callan Williams, sorry, I want to say Callan. That's his real name. Chaos Williams is a slight favorite. This is a damn near pick'em fight, and you can see that that's reflected in the Tapology peoples here. Man, this is a tough fight to pick. I ultimately chose Carlston Harris by decision.
George Harrison of the
I
Beatles. Thing.
ultimately chose him by decision. But I am not confident in that pick. I think this fight could go either way. But it's just the fact that this guy's only loss is to Shavkat really gives me a lot of confidence that he can get it done. The only thing that's kind of got me going back and forth is the fact that Chaos is a little younger, but it's kind of the activity. I mean, I guess this guy isn't super active himself, but I don't know. And I guess Chaos Williams' fight wasn't even that long ago. I thought he was coming off of a longer layoff than that. I guess he only fought, 2 times in the last 2 years, so. I want to pick Carlston Harris, but I am not very married to that. Maybe I'll wait for Hank's pick to kind of lean me one way or another. Also, Kiwi's what does Kiwi have to say? Harris was losing the first 13 minutes of the Wells fight. I was counting my money. Still sad. He says,
Read my reply. Read my reply to his comment.
"Yeah, can't count what's been burnt." Um, Chaos looks like he's been eating bricks. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if you should be eating bricks. I think you can actually get poisoning from that because of all the mortar, the chemicals that make up the mortar.
The
Um,
more you know. Let's see what I got. Great minds think alike. Idaho Skatesman. I got a feeling that we have every pick the same. All that's different is how it gets finished.
Hmm.
I got Williams. Either way, a Williams is winning this fight. So I'm gonna pick Williams. Carlston Williams. Round 2 submission. Haven't we seen this somewhere before? Another wrestler named Williams is paired up with a big striker who most people favor despite lackluster performances.
I don't know.
And he gets taken down and subsequently dominated. I think this will be Justin Taffa versus Carl Williams 2.0, where the promising striker
That fight was terrible.
it's flattened. Yeah, isn't that great?
Oh my gosh,
Isn't that just a barrel of laughs?
that's funny.
Yeah. The promising striker gets flattened out and beaten up by the much better grappler in a boring affair that eventually culminates in a sub, in my opinion. So, and in that way, it's not like Carl Williams versus Justin Taffa. It's more like Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum, or any of that caveman's fights, Oralby. I don't think he's good enough in the striking anymore to KO a guy whose only KO losses to frickin' Shavkat Rakhmonov, who people pick to win, by the way.
Rakhmonov.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just sad that he's.
Rakhmonov.
Yeah.
He's
Huh?
He's from Kazakhstan. You gotta fucking Gotta say it from the chest.
Oh, Rakhmonov.
Rakhmonov.
Rakhmonov. Hey, I'm from Jersey, you guys, and I saw Shavkat Rakhmonov down the
Nice.
street. I almost ran him over with my taxi the other day. I said, "Hey, I'm walking
Yeah.
here," and then Rakhmonov he ran away
He
like a
looked
caveman that he
retarded.
is. Hey, I'm Cal Chichester. Anyway, it will be controlled chaos from Williams.
His name isn't Williams though. It's Harris.
From oh crap. Oh no.
You thought it was Carlston
after,
Williams?
after Harris is done beating Williams.
Oh, he'll steal his name. Got it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And he's going to be doing the Carlton. He's going to be
I
doing
think
the Carlton on his
nice.
dead body.
I think that this is going to be a close match. I could see Chaos getting the knockout, getting the lean because he's going to be the more aggressive, like maybe better striker guy, but doesn't have a high output anyway. He kind of just waits to get that knockout shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that picking Carlston Harris is a good pick, but I also see a path to victory for Mr. Chaos Williams. We move on to our big point of contention in the card.
Oh boy, here we go. Finally.
Yeah, right. Edson Barboza getting another main event against Lerone the Miracle Murphy. He has that nickname because he got shot and he's good. His face a little fucked up. You can see right here where the bullet was in there.
It's not the Puma.
It's not the Puma. From Manchester, Lancashire, England. Going up against Edson Barboza, Junior Barboza, getting a win against Sadiq Youssef in his last fight. He's 3-2 in his last 5, losing to Giga Chikadze and Bryce Mitchell by decision. Lerone, he's 32 at bantamweight, featherweight, but he stayed undefeated to this point. He's got wins over guys like Josh Kulabau, Gabriel Santos, Makwan Amirkhani, Douglas Silva de Andrade. I rate that really highly, and Ricardo Ramos. I am picking Lerone Murphy to get this done. I think that he's undefeated for a reason. He finds a way to win. It's the experience of Edson Barboza, though, that's going to be the factor in this fight that Lerone Murphy's got to pass this test. You know what I'm saying? And also, this sucks that this fight's in the Apex, man. This fight deserves to be somewhere else, dude, because both of these guys are good fighters, exciting guys. Now we look here, and he's got a split decision win to a guy named Gabriel Santos, who I don't know who the fuck that is. Sorry, I just don't. The win over Josh Kulabau, I know a lot of people picked against him in that fight that I know, and he got it done, and he made it kind of close with a guy like Josh Kulabau, who's actually a really good fighter. Edson Barboza getting knocked out by Giga Chikadze and losing a decision to Bryce Mitchell, who I believe he was just largely controlled by. that knockout of Shane Burgos 3 years ago, I can remember that like it was yesterday. That was one of the scariest knockouts I've seen. Knocking out Billy Q is pretty damn good, and the decision win over
I'm into a mannequin.
Sadiq Youssef. The decision win. I think that's a really similar style matchup to the one he's got here. He's a taller, longer guy at featherweight, but I'm gonna ride with Lerone Murphy. I think he gets this one done. I don't see him finishing. I don't see him finishing Barboza, but I think that Barboza, he's 38 at featherweight, dude. Like
Yeah.
I don't see him getting this one done. And although I do think that this is going to be a somewhat close contested matchup, I think Lerone Murphy gets this one done. What say you? Well, hold on, let me see if I can fucking save. Nice. Okay. Thank God.
Well, at least we can conflict with each other on one thing. And I'm actually very happy that that's the one we're conflicting on because I got my own opinion of this fight. I think that Lerone Murphy has a lot of mediocre performances, and I think he has less power, pressure, or overall aggression than Sadiq Youssef has, even though Youssef is a bad chin. So he's not going to be finishing Barbosa in the first round. Therefore, I think Barbosa will have more of an advantage. Bless you.
Oh fuck.
I think Barbosa is going to have a lot more of an advantage as the fight keeps going on, like he did against Youssef. And with his cardio, will just start firing away in rounds 3 and 4. I don't think there won't be a shot that wobbles Barbosa, and I don't think that Murphy's striking is that up to snuff in general. If he shoots takedowns, I think they will eventually get stuffed, and Edson will prevail if this fight goes the full 5 rounds. I actually see him getting a kick or a knee that I think just crumples Murphy and puts him away. And it will be when Murphy's gassed in the later rounds, as he's never dealt with the 5-round fight under the bright lights. Like, he is a prospect. This is his first time dealing with 25 minutes in the cage consecutively. So I got Edson all the way, and I think he's going to get another legacy defining KO. I just think that Lerone Murphy doesn't have the pop in his shots or the amount of push in terms of his wrestling or
Yeah, and
strike.
it's so weird. He's been in the UFC for a while now. I remember his UFC debut, and he just doesn't fight enough,
No,
or fight like those fights that you want to see him in. So
I
maybe
think
not
his
now.
performance against Yusuf really impressed me. Barbosa, he overcame a lot of adversity in that one, and then was he still able to hit a spinning wheel kick, dude? He's 38, 39, but still delivering spinning wheel kicks flush on the jaw. So like he still has technique and he still has power. So I just think that I won't say he hasn't lost a step, but he hasn't lost. He's only lost a few. I think he's got so much else in other areas.
Yeah. Again, Lerone Murphy, just a guy that for some reason has got that step up. I think that it's probably a pay thing, right? Again, I don't know. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think they're probably finally like, all right, dude, we'll give you a main event in the Apex, fight Edson Barboza, we'll pay you more, but this is the fight you got to take. So
Yeah.
yeah, interested to see how this one plays out. If Edson, can get his turn back the clock performance, like everyone says that he can, um, or if Lerone Murphy can get his step up as a younger prospect, but still 32 at featherweight. It's kind of a weird age to be a prospect.
Yeah.
It's now or never for him.
Right.
I hate to break it to you guys, but like these turn back the clock performances, though we've seen a lot as of late, um, most of the time the old vets go out getting their teeth kicked out, like Lyoto
Mhm.
Machida did against
Ah.
Randy Couture. Um,
Yeah,
so
against that young prospect.
what's your point? Is a title match. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Randy Couture's was an old man. Like,
Oh, I
and what
thought
I'm saying is like the vets end up going out in a
I thought you were
very bad
referring to
way.
I thought you were referring to Lyoto Machida instead of Randy Couture's. That's the name you mentioned first. But
I
you
just said
meant
that
Randy
Randy got his
Couture is the old
teeth
man.
kicked out
Okay, you
by
should have said that. You
Randy
should have said that.
by Lyoto Machida. That's what I said.
Yeah, and then
Um,
get starched by Brock Lesnar beforehand as well.
well, right, but it's like the old vets of this game end up going out sad
That's
90% of the
true.
time.
Yeah,
So, I would love to see it. Again, like Edson Barboza is an exciting guy. He won't get cut after this. He's on a 2-fight win streak. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But
right.
at some
Sort of
point,
crazy that they're giving him a fight down the rankings. To be honest. Should have given
At a
him
certain
something against
point,
Giga.
you see significant drop off from a fighter, and they get melted, and it's sad. Your favorite fighter gets beat the fuck up in a sad way, and they go out of the sport broke. Um, Working the door at the MGM Grand like Joe Louis did because he didn't have any fucking money, and he was the door. They said, "Ah, Joe, we'll let you be a doorman." Um, so yeah, I would love to see it, but what? I don't think that Fanny is knocking Barboza's teeth out.
I called him a fanny. Yikes.
Yeah, and again, he's a guy from England, so I usually fade guys from England, but
Mhm.
I've been high on Lerone Murphy since he came in the UFC. This boring, no power guy that you're referring to, I think is just a measured, calculated fighter. And
Oh,
sorry that all of your prospects that you see coming up that end up getting stopped and fraud checked, as everyone says,
mm, mm.
have very quick fights where they get knockouts, and they're mostly knocking out people. I'm sorry, but that means you haven't fought anybody.
Right.
This is Lerone Murphy's big first step up, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to see how he does. But yeah, exactly. Tony Ferguson, the guy who everyone loved and thought he was gonna beat Habib, and then he ends up looking just absolutely terrible. Now, has Edson Barboza taken the same amount of damage that Tony Ferguson has in his career?
No,
Probably not. But again,
time to kill at least.
There's going to be a time where he has significant drop off as well. And I think
Yeah.
that I actually like the measured approach that Ron Murphy takes to his fights. He's
Hmm.
he's slow and is, like he takes his time. He's slow to start, but I think that could be his downfall. And that's why I'm picking the fight to go to decision. I think
Right.
that it'll be a closely contested match, and we might even be hopping on here where Hank the Tank's trying to convince me that Edson got robbed. So I'm looking
Don't worry.
forward to it.
The world will agree with me. And by that, I mean 2 internet websites.
Yeah, and we'll go to MMA decisions and we'll check it out. But again, we actually made a surprising amount of things to talk about. Next week we'll probably be back. We'll have 2 screens to present for you. But yeah, anything else you want to say about this just disgrace of an Apex card before we get out of here?
I think it'll have some fun finishes at least. So if you're not, if name value isn't your top priority when you're watching cards, I think you're going to like this in terms of who's getting finishes or what fights get bloody or big and explosive over time. There's a few underrated fights on here, but for the most part, it's not the most exciting of affairs. And also, it's in the Apex, so that takes the exciting rating down by 50% immediately. I think that Tyson Fury versus USYK, Alexander USYK, will
Usyk.
be made to
Usyk.
USYK. That'll be probably the most exciting thing to happen this weekend.
And it
Although
won't be
depending
very
on how it
exciting.
plays out, it won't be very exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's the most exciting in terms of name value, and it's what gets us the money. Moicano wants money. Maybe that was more Italian or Brazilian. What the
Okay,
Portuguese,
so Kiwi's claiming that he got a
The
gift
Italians and the
decision.
Portuguese came to Brazil, so it all makes sense. And in fact, if anything, that's a compliment to me because it's back to the
I'm gonna
ancestry.
investigate this.
Yeah.
He's claiming he got a gift decision in the UK. I'm
Oh,
trying to find out where this theoretical fight happened. Yeah, no, he's actually, believe it or not, never fought in the UK.
the more you know, the more
Oh
you
shit, he
know.
did. It was that Tom Aspinall fight in the O2.
Wow.
I think that some people thought that the Kulabau fight was close, but I saw it pretty clear for Murphy. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah,
We'll see.
thanks for breaking it down, Hank. I don't have much more to say. I'm looking forward to the fights this weekend. We'll be here to break them down for you after the fact, give you some points, and we're gonna figure out who's ahead in our Tapology picks since we've been doing the show.
End of the day.
Make it a little contest out of it, and maybe the loser will have to do
Horrible.
something they don't want to do
Fantastic.
live on this show. So
Against the law.
stay
Ruin.
tuned for that. We promise no nudity. Yeah, something. But or shave off one of our eyebrows? No, we can't go that far.
No,
But
no.
anyway, we
Both
gave you
of
2 hours again of our lives.
Precious,
Like and
precious time.
subscribe. Thank you guys for fucking hanging in there. Kiwi, we appreciate you for grinding it out. I know you're in the future. It's Sunday over there,
He's a
probably
grinder.
Sunday
He's a
night.
grinder, right? We're
Yeah, he is.
grinders. We get through it.
And thank you for giving us your picks. I'm gonna have to look over them. And anyway, that's it. That's all we got. We can't give you any more.
Yep.
We're out of here. Take it easy,
Peace.
y'all.